Is this Leland?
It is. Do you know, Steve, first talked, we were just talking here, 40 years ago.
No.
Yes. We were very young.
Wow, okay. Well, that must have been 1981.
Yeah, you used to come through Kansas City with the Skeletons and, various and sundry different people, but we used to come see you all the time and talk to you on the phone back then.
Well, fantastic. I'm sorry for the trouble today. I don't know what's wrong with the connection, but we're okay now.
Okay. So I played Moving Through America earlier, and you've been moving through America most of your life. I mean, you have crisscrossed this country a lot. How have things changed the most in your travels across the country over these last 40 years?
Well, really the thing would be the homogeneous nature now, and that's just these last 40 years. But and honestly, Leland, I like the convenience. It's great to know that, although I don't think it's true of Denver, but there's usually a Bank of America nearby.
Uh-huh.
And if you like ribs from Chili's, there's usually a Chili's nearby. It's all that sort of thing, but it's a lot of clover leaves and overpasses, and all of the successful businesses went nationwide.
Yeah.
I remember when FedEx was just getting started out of Memphis as their hub. And, buying some airplanes.
Yeah, I can remember Memphis being the hub. Yeah, that.
So that would be the main thing, I would say. It's the world's getting smaller every week.
Boy, isn't that the truth? Isn't that the truth? So what's the situation for playing on the road these days? Are you back to playing? I mean, you're going to be coming to Denver. Are you back on a tour now?
Well, yes, I'm flying out today to do a show in Seattle.
Wow.
And then I'm going to do one up in Bellingham, Washington, and then I'm going to blast out to Swallow Hill Friday.
Friday night, yeah, that's the show here in Denver.
So I'm definitely on tour now, and then we're going to zip back. I'm going out currently on these long distance runs with the lead guitarist George Naha. So we've got a good duo thing happening with me on acoustic guitar and harmonica and him on the Telecaster. He's fantastic. So that's what I'll be. That's the way it will be Friday night at Swallow Hill. And people with my sort of music are generally not opposed to showing proof of vaccination and wearing masks. And I can't say that for some of the country music crowds, as we know, have might not. But for folk rock and folk music, it's a pretty tuned in, understanding crowd who is in agreement. So that's the nature of touring right now for me.
Were you able to tour at all during 2020, or were you pretty much off the road completely?
Yeah, I think we did. When things were looking up, we did a couple of shows, and then we found that things were getting uncertain again, and now they're just picking up.
Yeah.
I did a couple of shows in 2020, but not many.
Yeah, and moving through America. I mean, that's all you've been doing for the last 40 years. You've been on the road a lot.
Well, yeah, it's a way of life, and I love it. I have a real love of the country. I've been to Phoenix many times, and I'm going to Bellingham. I've been to remote areas of Washington State. I've played played it. I've never been to Hawaii, but I've been all over the place.
Never been to Hawaii?
Bozeman. Sorry?
You've never been to Hawaii?
Never been to Hawaii. I've been to Bozeman, Montana.
Okay.
How's that?
That's pretty good. I'll go along with that. So, have you written? Do you continue to write music?
Oh, absolutely. I have completed. Not long ago, I put out a record called "The Magic Tree" in 2018.
Terrific.
Then
record.
I took it. Thank you. I took a detour and did a cover record finally, which was a labor of love. Some of my favorite tunes growing up through the years, and then I have just about. We are mixing a new record of 11 songs that I think is going to be called Lately, and I'll try to get it released as soon as possible. And that's happening. And since we've finished recording this record, I'm working on some new things. For me, that's I don't really feel good about myself unless I'm working on a song. That's what I require myself. What you got new? What's going on? So I always try to be working on something just to feel good about myself. I guess you would say as a songwriter and maybe as an artist.
Okay, yeah, I understand that. I can go along with that. That's something every artist should aspire to, I think. It seems like today. Now I've been, I kind of read around. It seems like today songwriting is more of a group effort. I've read about people getting together, 4 or 5 people getting together, and writing a song like that. You've never done that before. Have you ever tried that? Working with other people like that?
No. Leland, a couple of times, maybe like we'll be in sound check, and the guitar player, a few years ago, a guitar player named Steve Allen was playing a little riff over there. I said, "What are you playing?" I love that. So that's co-writing. I would maybe get a little recording of the riff, and then I would do the rest of the work. That was inspirational. But what you're talking about, sitting down in a predetermined time with other songwriters, is very unappealing to me. It just doesn't work that way. I get a lot of ideas the last few years in my sleep, particularly melodies. Really? Yeah. So, I don't do a lot of co-writing in my sleep either. But, it's reflective of, how things are. They're just less personable and they're less handmade these days. Yeah. It kind of goes along with what we were saying about every interchange has a Chili's and Red Roof Inn and Hampton Inn and there you go. Yeah. So there's obviously good and bad things about the way things have changed. And people now today write songs with TikTok in mind. You might have 40 years ago if there had been TikTok, but who knows? Yeah, I just can't say. But that's because it has become more sophisticated and more of a business, and it's very calibrated and that's the nature of the beast today. I caught the tail end of the time when things were a little more songs were more lived in and personal experiences, I think that's why a lot of people go back to the 60s and 70s, because people wrote songs that way, and that's the way we all learned that songs were going to be done. And so that's the way they are. And I think that we kind of think that way. Well, and there's not a big generation gap. I don't like we had, we being, I'll go ahead and say baby boomers had with our parents. Kids today can dig Me and Bobby McGee by Janis Joplin, and they can dig Riders on the Storm. And so that that's there, and those songs live on.
Yeah. This is KGNU Boulder, Denver, and Fort Collins. We're sitting here talking with Steve Forbert, who's going to be playing at Swallow Hill Daniels Hall Friday night. And we got a couple of tickets to give away actually here. Let's get that going here. All we ask is that callers have not won anything from KGNU in the last 30 days, and you can make it to the show. It's Friday night. And we're going to do this by email. So if you want to win, all you have to do is send an email with the concert in the subject line, Steve Forbert, to tickets@kgnu.org. And the third person to email tickets@kgnu.org will win the tickets and will be notified by email. And so, Steve, what else has been going on with you these days?
Well, I will probably post a picture this week of my... You see, in 1988, I had twin boys with my ex-wife.
Oh.
In Nashville, we had twin boys. And then the boys grew up, and one of the boys had twin boys. So I was in Nashville for the Americana Music Festival, and had a chance to visit with the Grand twins. So that's going on. And they're still just listening to and finding inspiration from music. I got way into Concrete Jungle by Bob Marley and the Wailers last week.
Interesting. But, that's the way you do things. You just kind of find things and, hey, start listening to them. You never know.
Yeah, I love that record. I would say it's a perfect record. And I'm quite fond of Going Back by the Byrds lately, if you know that record. I'm sure you do.
I know that record well, yeah. Not too many people knew that Carole King wrote that song when the Byrds did it there in the Easy Rider movie.
Yeah, and Jerry Goffin probably wrote the lyrics, although I'm not sure.
That could be, yeah. Okay, well.
So that's, and I'll tell you, there's a couple more things, actually. I have decided to do a rethink on a record I put out in 1988 called Streets of This Town. And a really talented mixing engineer here on the Jersey Shore has remixed the record, and we're putting it as in a simpler light. We've taken off a bit of the 80s drum sound and maybe a few keyboards. I like the record, but I wanted to hear the vocal a little more up front and the fuller sound on the vocal. And I'm really fond of those songs. So hopefully in about a month or so, I'm going to make it available to the Facebook group and stuff.
Wow.
It's sort of, you might call it an Americana remix of that album.
Oh, okay. And I think didn't you recently put out a live version of the Jackrabbit Slim album?
Yes. That was recorded January of 2020, right before things went weird.
Yeah.
I believe that's right. And it came out on Time Life also, but you can get it on my website.
And your website is just yourname.com, steveforbert.com?
Yes, and it's the entire Jackrabbit Slim performed in Asbury Park, January 2020, and it was a magic afternoon show, so we did release it.
A lot of good memories in that one. When I listened to that one, I remember when you first did those songs, so it was pretty cool to listen to again.
Yeah, that's a lot of what I share with my audience. It's been, as you said, it's been a 40-year relationship.
Yeah. I mean, who would have guessed that we'd still be doing it at this point in time?
Well, we're just keeping a hold of all of that stuff that means so much to us. It's strange. It's strange. We all know that Charlie Watts is not on tour with the Rolling Stones, but we also know that Mick's giving it 100%, and that Keith is sounding great.
Yep. Well, Steve, you got a show coming up here on Friday. You're going to be heading out for Seattle tonight. Is that right? You're going to play a show in Seattle tonight? Well, it's good to talk with you. It's great to catch up after all these years. And you got a show coming at Daniels Hall on Friday, and we will see you then, I guess.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. I don't foresee any problems. We'll just zip around and get there. And like I say, I'm bringing lead guitarist George Naha with me. He's playing a 1966 cream-colored Telecaster, and he makes it all the better.
Yeah. Okay. So that's what you can expect if you're going to get tickets for Steve Forbert at Swallow Hill. It's going to be quite the show. Steve, we'll see you on Friday.
Well, I apologize for the mix-up getting started here, and thank you for your time.
No problem. You have a great day. Take care.
See you soon. Okay.
Okay.